Um, Hi, I'm Joyce, and my Chinese name is Ullman, and I used to call my name used to be Liu Huan, and I have been working on dreams with Bill for maybe 5 years or 6 years, and maybe that's all.
um, do you want to? You've been in the dream group a long time, and you were in the dream group class before then at Tonghai University. And of all the people in the Taipei dream group, I think you were the most frequent dreamer. And of all the people in this online dream group that we made when the virus came along, I think you're also the most frequent dreamer. And your dreams are long and complicated and interesting. And yesterday you came up with a dream, and we worked with it. I made some notes, but I don't know where they are exactly. And we worked with your dream, and all the time I've been doing the Ullman Dream Group process, I've never led a dream group when I think I myself violated the process more than yesterday. And yet I have to confess, at the same time, I've never been in one of our dream groups that was so electric and alive, and that didn't just somehow affect you, but it affected me and affected every single person in the group. And there was like a bonding between people because of your dream. Your dream came out like something that connected us all. So I want to see if you want to say anything about what happened yesterday.
What happened yesterday is that yes, I dream a lot, but sometimes since I've been doing this for a long time, I think sometimes I can just understand what the dreams means without bringing it to the group. But I think sometimes it's not just about understand what it means, because I feel like when I talk with the group and I hear what people and people asking questions, and I hear what people talks about their what they think about what the dream is about, I think it's a process of letting what I found out sink in and to find the deeper meaning of it. Because like the original idea is that I blame myself a lot, and sometimes I feel like I shouldn't have this anger, and I shouldn't be this angry. I shouldn't think in this way. And I feel like I can just remove that emotion, and I remove that idea like I take a module off from a machine. I think it will be that simple. But during I work on this dream with everyone, I feel like it's actually more about that I need to understand that it's there for a reason. And by thinking that I can remove it entirely just like that, like taking a piece out of a puzzle, it's more like I'm rejecting myself, not just the anger that I have, the idea that I have. I'm also rejecting I'm the reason why I have this emotion, and I don't accept it. That's why I want to remove it. Before I understand it, but it's not like I know I'm doing this for a long time, but yesterday is how I found that how deeply I'm doing this, and I'm doing this just because I don't like myself. I don't love myself. So yeah, I think yesterday it's more like before sometimes I can see that how my dreams affect other people, but yesterday I didn't get to see that well because I feel like I was still processing that. But I feel like this today is deeply sinking in itself. Yeah, I think about it a lot today.
Do you want to say something about the dream so people know what they?
Okay, so when I first in my dream, I look at my palms and I see there were little green things under my skin. And later I found that there were green caterpillars. So I feel like and they're moving. I want to remove them out. So I try to use my finger to squeeze in and to kill them. But then when I squeeze them, they come out of my skin and make these little holes. And through these little holes, I can see that there are more caterpillars under my skin. They're underneath my palm. Inside it, they are eating my palm up, leaving only the shell, only the outfit of my palm, but inside it's only caterpillars. And I look at them. I found that all these caterpillars they are trying to gather to the center of my palm and getting to my wrist. So I showed it to my mom and I asked my mom to help me take them out to get rid of them. And my mom she was look disgusted by this, and she was shocked, and she helped me by get a hand of all the caterpillars and pull it out. When she pulled it from both of my hand disappeared. It's like I was amputated. I can only see the round end of both my hands, and the caterpillars are gone, and my palms are all gone. And at the second part of my dream, I can see that here my palms are back again. I can see there are still little green things under my skin. But this time when I look at them, I found that there are not just green caterpillars, there are orange things like rubber band, and there are gray earthworms under my skin. This time they are thinner, and before they are like as big as my fingers. This time they're thinner. And I want to show it to my sister because I think she will find it very interesting. Although I don't find it, I find it's really disgusting. I want to remove it. And this time when I asked my mom to help me, she was going to provide me advice because I feel like she feels like she knows how to do it. But this time my voice is stronger. I tell her that I know how to do with it. But this time when I work on this, try to take the worms out from my palms the second time, it is me who is pulling it. And when I pull them out, I can see that all these worms, they go through up my arms to my armpit. And I took off the jacket that I'm wearing right now, the standing jacket. And I can see that they're all going up. And that's the end of my dream.
Okay, now now when we worked with it, I think we went by the process. But in the beginning, I said something. I broke the process because I noticed, I made a comment that you're not supposed to make as a dream group leader. I noticed that you were going around in circles. You would have one idea, but then you would say the opposite idea. And then you would say this, and you would say the opposite of this. And it almost made me dizzy. And so I came out and I said that, I said that to you. I said, you're contradicting what you said a moment ago. You're going around and saying, no, you're not supposed to do that. But when I said that, you changed. And all of a sudden, you started telling us the meaning of the dream. Could you want to say anything about that? Because I've never, first of all, what I did, you're not supposed to do on the Ullman process. But if I followed the rules of the Ullman process, I don't know how we could have gotten to the meaning of the dream. Do you want to say anything about what happened?
Actually, because just as you said, I feel like there's always a lot of voice in my mind. There will be rational voice, and there are voice inside me that knows something different. So yesterday was like, although I know that I shouldn't blame myself or I shouldn't see those flaws or this anger, the emotion I have inside me, I shouldn't blame them. But at the same time, I still do. So that's why I will mention these two ideas at the same time. And when we mention different things, I always bring up these two ideas that is that, oh, I know how it works, but still I do blame myself. So it becomes very complicated. It's like I'm going around in a circle. But I think it's because in reality, I still do that.
So in other words, there's what you know, then there's what you are, and they're two different things.
I think what I am is like I have this both idea inside me. So whenever we talk about it, yeah, it's like what I shouldn't, what I think I should do, and I think what I shouldn't do. You know, these two ideas.
Now, in your dream, you could have represented these call them worms. Let's call them worms for now. Inside you, these things that were inside you. You could have represented them in many different ways, but you chose to call them caterpillars. And you mentioned that they're kind of caterpillars that would be like on vegetables, for example.
Yeah.
The kind of caterpillars that turn into butterflies.
Yeah, I was thinking about this because I think it's really interesting that normally when you find caterpillars in your vegetables and normally they're dead, you'll feel like, oh, it's a sign that shows that it's organic, it's healthy vegetables, but at the same time, you feel like I don't want to see it on my dish. Yeah, so it's a very weird feeling. You know it's good, but you don't want it.
Yeah, you don't want a caterpillar crawling around in your salad.
Yeah.
But you were caterpillars are interesting because they undergo metamorphosis and they transform into butterflies. And so, so someone suggested, maybe it was you or someone, that like you were picking these, trying to pick them out of yourself like they were flaws. You were trying to get rid of them. And
Yeah.
you said somewhere that you used dreams to get rid of what was wrong with you, get rid of your flaws. And someone pointed out that these maybe weren't flaws, maybe they were a transformational potential. These were a potential in you for transformation and growth, and they weren't to be picked out. And then you yourself said that you found that with certain ones, they were long and the root went all the way to your armpit, and you suggested that you felt that they came from your heart.
Yeah.
You want to say anything about that? Bringing in the heart?
I feel like, because now I first started working on dreams because all my dreams, I think they're really interesting. They're kind of like magic, or it's like they're quite like a fantasy. So I want to make them into novels. But when I work on them, sometimes I see things that I think I should be in this way or I should be in that way. And all these ideas are coming from this dream. It's like I have this obsession. I feel like there are certain rules that I need to follow, and I feel like I'm breaking certain rules.
Breaking certain rules?
Yeah, I should have a perfect character, or I should do things in this way. Sometimes it's just like this idea, it's everywhere in my life, and the moment I discover them, I think it shows the potential that it can turn out to be butterflies. They can become a very important part in my stories because characters should have flaws, and these flaws turn out to be who they are. They represent their past and their future. But before I sort of doesn't allow it to happen in the book because I also don't allow it to happen in myself. I don't accept them myself. So I think it's really important that while working on it right now, I can really see that these caterpillars are turning into butterflies, really.
In my Dream Group class, the students, especially in the beginning, but like in this semester, they're still doing it this deep into the semester. They always talk about should.
Yeah.
They use that word all the time. Ingai, should this, should that. But dreams do not tell us what we should do. Dreams tell us what we are. And I always say that. Now, I've never heard anyone else say it, but this, like my conclusion from all these years working with dreams, that the dreams tell us what we are. They give us awareness. They don't give us direction. They're not like teachers and parents. You should do this, you should do that. They're telling us what we are, which is such useful information. And do you want to say anything about that? You
Yeah.
mentioned should a lot when you worked with your dream.
Yeah, it's like, I feel like this idea about should is that we always feel like there is certain things that there are always a correct answer. We are always searching for that. And especially when we take a lot of tests in the school, and I feel like there's always 100 point that I should reach. There's a full scores. I need to reach that. And if I'm not doing that, I'm not being perfect. There's always a certain, and it happens in so many ways that since this summer, I decided to work as a freelancer and I work on my novel at the same time. But while I do this, I always feel like I'm not going on the correct path. I feel like I'm not I feel like I'm walking without knowing where I'm going. There's a feeling that I don't see a correct answer in front of me. So I'm kind of trying to figure out my way on my own. But it's a very weird feeling that I feel like I always can make a mistake.
Well,
So
school teaches you, trains you not to make mistakes. You talked about the perfect score in an exam is 100%. And so if you're a perfect score, you don't make any mistakes, and then you get rewarded with a top grade. But if I teach you not to make mistakes, I'm teaching you not to be creative. You want to be a novelist. And so you have to be creative to be a novelist. You have to make mistakes. That's how we learn, by making mistakes. They don't call them mistakes anymore. In some of the new educational systems, they call them iterations. In
Yeah.
iteration, you go around and around trying to get it right, like Edison trying to perfect his light bulb. Then finally he got it, but he probably tried hundreds of times, iterations. And they're not mistakes in a sense, but in school, we're taught that they're mistakes, and we don't want to make mistakes. That's what you're saying, you know?
Yeah, and there's always an idea that I will reach a final answer. Some point there's something that at the end that's perfect. But I feel like we always, although we know that we are making iteration again and again, but we always see that there will be a perfect something at the end we can reach that, but it's
Well,
never there.
well, I find like I'm a writer too, and I'm not writing novels now. I'm just writing about dreams. Now I'm writing stories that happened to me in New York. But I find there is a perfect way, in a sense. We can get the story right. You know, if you see certain films or even cartoons that get the story right, so from the beginning to the end, there's not a glitch anywhere. That's different. And when you get a dream right, I think you got your dream right yesterday. It has nothing to do with 100%. It has to do with the fact that you went through all the things you had to go through to get it right. That's a different kind of getting it right. You know what I mean? It entails making a lot of mistakes.
Yeah, but it's like I think we are not trained to make mistake and learning. It's not like mistake, but we are not trained to try a lot of things. We always think that we have this one only chance and we cannot
Oh, of
make
course.
it.
Of
Yeah.
course, that's the way we're trained. Now, in the movie Toy Story with Pixar, when they made that movie, they made so many mistakes. They kept changing it. Then at the very end, when they finished the movie, they were gathered together and watched it, and they realized that I think it was, let me see if I can get this right. The cowboy character, he wasn't likable, and they realized, no, this won't work as a movie. We have to go back, and they went back to the beginning. They did the whole thing over again. Now that is, and it came out wonderful, and it earned them a lot of money. It was very successful. It was the first production like that, a computer-driven animation film like that. So the idea of being perfect is different than getting everything right. It entails getting everything wrong. Now, you in your dream, your caterpillars, you were picking them out like they were flaws. But if these were transformational potential you have within you, if your hands, which is what you work with, are full of that transformational power, wow, you're just what a person wants to be a writer. That's what everybody wants. And
Yeah,
that's
but
not a bad
it's
thing.
like yeah, before it's like when I see look at my hands, I feel like these yeah, in this way I can see that these caterpillars are actually trying to help me to see that there's something that they're eating me up because yeah, in a way I can see that these caterpillars are things that I don't like and they're actually voices that are taking away my power. They give me the shape. I only have this shell of my hand, but I know the method, but it's not actually coming out from my voice. I know how to do things because other people tell me what to do. But then it's like it's not my own hand, but it's because it's always coming from other people. So this caterpillar, although they are eating me up, but it's kind of like they're helping me to see who I truly am, how I really should do, how I really do things in my own way. So
Well, if you
I
look
think
at
it's
it
really
as
interesting
creativity,
that we the idea.
yeah, go ahead, go ahead. I was gonna say if
Yeah,
you
I
look
think
at
it's
it
really
as,
interesting that
go ahead.
I reached the idea that those worms are live within me, together with me. They are not going away. Those ideas, this anger or this motion that I have, they are not going away. They live within me. It's more important about knowing where they're coming from, not to get rid of them.
Well, if those represent your creative ability, then the fact that they're living off your body and off your life, off your feelings, off your heart. They're rooted in your heart. It means that with all of us writers, to the degree that we're able to be who we are, we're able to write and produce a creative product. It comes from being who we are. So our creative product is really feeds off what we are. And that's not parasitic in a way. That's like a plant has a flower, you know what I mean? And the
Yeah.
flower feeds off
It's
the plant.
hard to understand, right? Something you know it, but you just don't understand it, not deep enough. It's like
But
the dream yesterday.
well, it was an interesting dream. You dreamed about your mom and your sister. Now,
Yeah.
if you look at those as metaphors, you want to say anything about what kind of metaphor? These are two, and you equated it with two different ways to relate to what you called your flaws.
I feel like my mom is the other side of me who is being picky about how there's thing that has a certain way. I feel like she's the myself working on things in an old way, in a
Old-fashioned
correct
way.
way. Yeah. And my sister is the I think she's more like a third person who look at my struggle and thinking that this is very interesting. Because for me, is that when I look at my own growth, I will see actually for this, it's a process of transformation, it's changing. But when I'm inside it in person, I feel like I'm struggling. I don't find it fun. But as the third person, you shall find this very interesting. And I feel, oh, I see that she's struggling. And it's very interesting thing. But me as myself, when I'm going through it, I don't find it interesting. But if I can do that, I also feel like I can actually enjoy my own growth. Then you will be totally different.
Well, that's what happens in Zen meditation. You're instructed to sit there, you sit straight, and you focus your attention on whatever is your breath, or maybe pains in your leg, the sounds outside, but you focus your attention. And it's it's not a matter of trying to escape from the pain or the distracted thoughts, a million thoughts. You focus. If a train of thought is going through your mind and won't stop, you watch it. If you're watching it, then you're not that thought. You're something watching the thought, and somehow you're free of that. And the thought all of a sudden vanishes, and there you are, pure awareness. And that's sort of like your sister in a way. If the sister part of you was watching these worms or whatever, watching it with interest, and then what happens is the next thing is there's an awareness of what this is. That awareness arises and is transformative. And so we don't need to try to change ourselves. In other words, why I thought your dream was so interesting is because you said something that shocked me in a way. But I realized a lot of people, in fact, everyone in the dream group felt the same way. They felt they're working with dreams to change who they are into something else.
Yeah.
And that shocked me because I realized in my writing, my books and Montague Ullman's books, I don't think anyone has contested this idea that we work with dreams to change who we are and make ourselves better. But I feel that the work with dreams is very much like Zen meditation. Is what we're doing is we work with dreams in order to become aware of what we are and who we are and what's going on. And that out of that awareness comes transformation. And that's where the butterflies come in. And so you're aware of the worms. And as you focus and become aware of them, you may start to see if your sister element in you, see them transforming into butterflies. And there's an awareness and it changes. The Buddhists call it transience. It keeps changing as you focus on it. Do you want to say anything about any of that?
Yeah, I feel like it's a certain idea that we always feel like we can reach a certain standard, or it's like when we look at others. Yesterday my friend talked about like she didn't meet her friends anymore in college. It's like for 5 years, and she felt like she sort of was doing that because she feel like when she look at them, she cannot stop feeling that they are looking down on her. She know that they're a good person, they are not going to do that, but it's her herself, she's looking down on herself. And I feel like we always do that because we feel like other people are having perfect life and we are not doing perfect enough. But it's very hard to see that there's not a certain answer, and we need to appreciate what we are doing right now, because at most of the time we are doing things because we think we should earn money, we should have a perfect score in the test, we should do this, we should do that, but we never appreciate or we never enjoy what we are doing right now.
I wrote a piece a while back, and it had a quote in it. And I happened across that quote a few years ago, and I lifted it out and I pasted it on like a paper, and I have it up in my office. And it says, when life beats us down, it's doing us a favor because it returns us to the most fertile ground. When life beats us down, it does us a favor because it returns us to the most fertile ground. In other words, the person, they feel that they're lower than other people. In a way, they're better off because they're closer to reality. Those other people aren't so high like they might think they are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when you get to know them, you see that.
Yeah, so it's more like the idea that inside her, she's judging herself. She knows that, but she cannot stop doing that. It's
Now,
like this dream.
now, you mentioned judging and judgment. Do you want to say anything about
Yeah,
judgment and judgment? Because that figured into your dream too.
yeah. I think it's kind of like what Dick said. There is no way that things should be, but we don't get to understand it so fully. So when I'm being angry at my family, I feel like I shouldn't be angry. I should be a well accepting family member. I should embrace their anger or embrace whoever they are. But I think I should be kind to them, but I forgot to be kind to myself and understand that be a person. I should be angry. I am angry, and I just before I don't allow myself to do that. I always feel like I should be more. I think too much about other self, and I don't think about myself. But actually, it's kind of deep rooted things that we have. We feel like we should treat other people with kindness, but we should be strict to ourselves. That's how I thought.
You said something beautiful, and you said it before a few weeks ago in a dream group. You said, I forgot to be kind to myself. That's so important,
Yeah,
I
I
think.
forgot to be kind. And yeah, I think since I'm being so judgmental on myself, I shouldn't do this, I shouldn't do that, I should be more responsible. The idea originally they are good just like the caterpillars. But if I think focus too much on that, I lost my way and I don't know I just don't follow my path, and then I'm not satisfied. I'm not happy.
I found if I just stop using the word should, I mean, a lot of things straighten out, you know. I
Yeah.
should be more this, I should be more that. And also, the interesting thing is the judgmental part of us. In the Christian or the Jewish Bible, it said, judge not ye that be not judged. In other words, it tells you not to judge. And what you find in all these great people like Buddha and Christ and Lao Tzu is they don't judge. And the reason is because they've escaped the confines of the ego. And they root themselves in a deeper part of themselves. And judgment is a characteristic of the ego. It really, really is. And I've started noticing that years ago. And whenever I find myself judging, I say, aha, Bill, there you are, back in your ego again. And it really makes a big difference because you just really don't trust your own judgment that much when you judge people or yourself, you know. It's not a fertile way to be. Your dream is about all these things, and these are crucial things in transformational um, psychology, I think. Now, and your sister and your mom are two metaphors. Your mom is the metaphor for getting rid of your flaws, and your sister is the metaphor for just observing them dispassionately. But then you in the dream, there's a line that said, "My voice is stronger." You didn't listen to your mom, and my voice is stronger. I felt that was so powerful.
Yeah, but before it's like when I work on this dream, my myself, I didn't see my voice at all until someone mentioned in a group. And yeah, so it's really more about I should listen. I need to listen to myself, and I know learn my own voice, but it's never easy because I don't know how to listen to myself.
Well, I think one way to listen to ourselves, I'm no expert in any of these, Joyce, by the way. I'm no better than you are in any of this stuff. So I don't mean to talk to you like I'm some expert. But I found one way to listen to myself is to pay attention to my feelings and not to,
Yeah.
that I shouldn't feel this, you know?
Yeah, so it's really about self-awareness. You
Okay,
know,
Joyce, that's what it's about. That's what the Ullman process is about, self-awareness. It's not about changing yourself. It's about self-awareness, being aware of yourself. Because when you're fully aware of yourself, you're aware of the whole world. You're aware of everything, little ants and plants and flowers, everything.
yeah, it's so difficult because sometimes, like in the group, we're trained not to judge other people, but when we it's more like we not to judge other people, but we still inside we're thinking about things, and we cannot stop judging ourselves. We don't just being aware of something, we still judge a lot.
Well, the way to stop judging yourself is to watch yourself judge yourself. Because if you watch yourself judge yourself, then the judge is over there, and you're the viewer watching that, and that's very interesting because it pulls you away from the judge, and you see it, and you see how stupid it is. You know, I mean,
That's very wise. Watch yourself, judge yourself.
it's not my wisdom. That's the wisdom of Buddhism. Um, you talked about the worms. In the end, you're pulling the worm out, but the worms were so long, they stretch all the way to your armpits, and you felt they went to your heart, that they came from your heart. And you said they were like the blood vessels in your wrist and arm.
Yeah.
You want to say anything about that realization, what that's about?
I feel like sometimes I don't, or I feel like people we don't know who we are because we don't get to know more about what we are feeling and what our thoughts. And I feel like in this dream, these worms, they're like blood vessels because they live within me. And these ideas, these memories, they're like the worms inside me. So that's why when I pulled it, I sort of found that they go all the way up to my heart, and they that on these ideas, these thoughts, this memory, this emotion that I have, they are part of me, they are who I am. But it's very hard to see that they form me myself, because when I have those ideas, I don't aware they are there. So this dream is kind of like they show me that they are there for a reason, and they go deep under, and they go into my roots.
They're there
So
for a reason. In other words, everything that you are is there for a reason.
yeah, and in the dream I took off my jacket so I can really see how they go up to my heart. And I feel like this jacket is it's actually like judgmental, or the outfit, the person that I really like. I took it off so I can see who I really am without judging. I just see the fact.
It's a
I think
jacket
it's
your
really,
mom gave you, right?
yeah, and then what I'm wearing right now. I really like it. It's like sometimes when they say what kind of person they tell you that you're kind, they tell you that you're polite, you're really happy about it. So you just really like this person. I really like this jacket. But if I don't took that off, then I'm not going to see who I really am, in my own opinion, in my own words. And although they are both words, but my own words, they really do mean something. And I really need to see how I view myself in my own way, not from other people's voice.
My experience with dreams is that when people see who they are from a dream, a lot of people, or some people, are really afraid to work deeply with the dreams because they're afraid to see who they are, like it's going to be some monster or somebody who's worse than they are. But my experience always has been that when people see more deeply into themselves from working with the dream, they always find that they're much more than they ever thought. They're much better than they supposed. Have you had that experience or?
Yeah, I feel like, but I also sort of understand that because it's also coming from the idea of self-judging. Because I sometimes I'm scared that when if I discover deeper into myself, I feel that maybe in the core I'm evil for no reason, and I feel like I'm being bad for no reason. But it's like this dream. I sort of see that, oh, I'm being a person who blames herself a lot for a reason. You
A
see the reason,
person who what?
who blame myself a lot. I can see the origin of that, and I said, oh, that's why I'm blaming myself. Then I sort of just accept that, and I know that I'm not doing this for no reason. I'm not just being purely stupid or purely evil.
The Buddhists have this concept of causes and conditions. And the idea is that each one of us, like I'm Bill, but I'm not anything separate and apart from all the people and the environments and the situations that have created me. And so I contain all these other elements, these other people, these other places. And so in a sense, they say that the self is an illusion. We're really so much more than that. And so there's no blame because how else could you be? How, how else could Joyce be coming from where Joyce comes from, having Joyce's family, living in Joyce's city in Taipei? You had to be a Joyce.
And it's really interesting that I think it brings out another thing because originally when I woke up in the middle of night, when I think about my dream, there's another thing that I blame myself that I feel like I'm using my family as a projection, as a metaphor, because I'm trying to put the guilt on them. I'm trying to blame them for the reason I become who I am, for the bad feelings I'm having. I feel like I'm putting all the bad things on them, and I shouldn't do that. But I also feel like through this dream, if I stop seeing that what happens to me as a bad thing, then it's kind of like a tree grows and there's a rock underneath, so its root has to turn, but the turn is not good, it's not bad, it's just who it is, where it is, how
Not
it
good
is.
and not bad. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a fact. So if I, so in many ways it also tells me that I'm not blaming my family, but I can see things in a different perspective, then that's how I can start to love me myself and love my family.
Yeah, I went through a period when I was young where I distanced myself from my mother and my father and my family. And then much later on, that came to an end, you know. And I realized it's a compassion. You develop a kind of compassion for them. They're not perfect, by any means. I'm sure all the things you see in them are there, but they're who they are, and they can't be anything else. But you can be something else if you let yourself, you know. And it has nothing to do with blaming anybody. It has to do with just awareness. I think it has to do with awareness. And that's what I think the dream group really is about, is awareness. It's not about digging out faults or blaming other people or finding blame or placing blame. Now, yesterday, the group became very alive, very, very alive with your dream. And almost everybody in the group commented on the group that this was a special group. Do you want to say anything about that?
Just one more thing, I feel like, because I think to be kind to myself is to be kind to others. Because
Exactly.
yeah, because
Exactly.
one thing I feel like I sometimes, before I mentioned the metaphor of my mother, I feel like me and my mother, we are really alike, as my father said that, and sometimes I can see that. But in that way, so I judge her, she judged me, and we are all both hurting ourselves. And for me, so I feel like that when I grew up, I hear a lot my parents and older growing up, they are saying bad things about me, and I feel like, oh, I need to change that. But I also feel like if you blame me so much, then why don't you blame yourself? Then I can stop being angry because we are both in pain. So I want you to be in pain. Why are you not perfect? But just as you said, through this dream, I started to see that they're just human being and I'm human being. So it's okay not to be perfect, and I'm more kind to both of us. And for what we talk about about our group, I feel it's really difficult to, because you have been encouraged us of having our own group, but sometimes it's hard to see what kind of person we welcome to our group, because they really affect the dreamers. I feel like if we invite different person, then sometimes their brain effects that might hurt dreamer in a way. But in our group, I feel like we're all being very gentle, and we see things in a very wide aspect, and we appreciate the fact itself. We don't judge and we be kind, and I feel like that's how they're become the best person who helped me grow. I feel like they all live within me.
Yeah, it's a supportive group. It's a community, really. It is a dream community in a sense. Let me see, is there anything else you want to mention? Because so much happened yesterday in the group. And I have some notes, but I'm not, do you want to say anything more?
Well, actually, you pretty much bring up a lot, because like I was thinking about this dream before this video, and yeah, I think this really affects me in so many ways, are all about the simple idea that not judging me myself and not judging people, and it comes to the core idea to love myself. I hope one day when I will be kind enough to use the words that I praise other to praise myself. Because sometimes I don't give good blessing to myself. I think I curse myself a lot.
Well, no, when we work on your dream, we've never condemned you. Do you know what I mean? I don't think anybody in the
Yeah.
group has ever condemned you. They've, in fact,
Yeah.
Liz in London said something very beautiful about you and how she relates to you, she connects with you. And people yesterday, every single one of them said that they were very deeply touched by your dream, because it was if they were working with their own dream. And I think that's a powerful compliment in a way.
Yeah.
And I was touched by it because I felt that your dream expressed what dreams are about in a way that we don't usually get to see. And also what the Ullman Dream Group is about. It's not always about exactly following the rules, although it's imperative that we follow all the rules. Sometimes we have to go beyond them and allow something to happen that might not otherwise happen. That's hard to say, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, well, I just want to thank you very much. Is there anything else you want to say before we sign off?
Maybe no.
Okay. Well, so Joyce, thank you very much. And I guess we'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Okay, bye-bye.